Hello there, one and all, and thank you very much for tuning into episode 504 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise. It sort of feels like it's been a little while since we've done this, and I suppose it has been. I wasn't around last weekend, was I? So a weekend without all of you feels like an eternity, and I think some of you are actually echoing those very thoughts. As I say, thank you very much for tuning in, regardless of whether you're watching the live or you're watching the recording. We have several comments, not just a first comment, but the first one was from Alex, who says, "Hello, Mr. P. So good to have another Sunday with scent. I couldn't agree more." And Alex is wearing an Écoutale's Songe. That's a very, very, very beautiful piece of work. Wayne says, scent of the day is Coty's Emerald Extrait. Gosh, that's a real treasure, says Alex. Yes, 100% in agreement. Lots of other people here as well. Oriana is saying, hello, everyone. A much-needed scented joy on this Sunday afternoon. Perfumed by the Sea says, so pleased there's a Sunday Love at First Scent today. Much-needed escapism. Rachel says, yes, much-needed distraction. Are there people who feel they want to kind of get away from the world a little bit? I wonder why. Anyway, let us put all that to one side for the moment. We are doing what we've come to call a feature-length episode today, although it's only just occurred to me that in the world of cinema, an hour or just under an hour wouldn't count as feature-length at all. That would still count as a short film. But what I mean by that, you know what I mean by that, is we're not just going to do one perfume per episode. We're going to try and get through as many of these as possible in this one episode, just so that we can get a little bit of interaction and chat going. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so. If you would like to find out how you can support my work, you should be able to see a link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below. And regardless of whether you're watching the live or you're watching the recording, please feel free to leave a comment, ask a question at any time. What else are people saying? Atalay says, hello from a rainy Bremen, wearing Sahara Noir after a while. Ooh, so you held on to your bottles of Sahara Noir, did you? Eric says, hello all. I got ready for a family event too early, so I'm waiting and watching live. It was meant to be. Dennis says, good morning, afternoon, evening, all. Great to catch you live. Juan says, good morning from Riverdale, California. I finally catch a live stream. You're very welcome. So happy to watch this as I'm bottling a sample of my fragrance line. Ooh, at some point, tell us more. Bartek says, hello, everybody. Greetings from Poland. Cześć. Thank you very much for tuning in. And Floating Man says, tuning in from Yorkshire, Mr. P. Hope you are well. Keep the comments coming. Okay. What are we going to try to get through today? So as you can see, we've got the debut scents. Oh, Rachel says we're leaving after the live for Swan Lake wearing Chanel. Sounds like a wonderful evening. Anyway, we've got the debut scents from All Saints. We've got something new from Puente. We've got something new from Vyrao. We've got something in an extremely annoyingly reflective bottle from DKNY, and also something new from Edeniste. Let's do the DK. Let's do the DK. I've sort of got press releases, press material for pretty much all of them, I think. Let me just bring the DK one up. I've certainly got pre-sprayed blotters. Now this, back in the day, DKNY, Donna Karan Perfumes had a lot of love. Cashmere Mist. Do I mean Cashmere Mist? I think I mean Cashmere Mist. Cashmere Mist is actually considered to be one of the most influential American perfumes of all time. Lots and lots of people loved it. Lots of people were really, really distraught and upset and disappointed when it was discontinued. And when DK released a kind of exclusive range earlier this year, a lot of people were hoping that Cashmere Mist would be back, but Cashmere Mist did not come back. Sharon says DK's Cashmere Mist was great. Dave NYC says DK Men was fantastic. Also, the bottle by her husband. Oh, I didn't realize he'd designed it. Oh, Mia says Penhaligon's Artemisia is very similar to Cashmere Mist, luckily. Anyway, so DK are kind of coming back onto the fragrance scene. This is meant to be a very, very high-profile release. You tell me if you've considered to be a high-profile release, because I think it's been around for a couple of weeks, but I haven't noticed a huge amount of publicity for it. Maybe where you live, you've seen some publicity. Um, Maybe they're kind of holding back and they're going to ram us over the heads with the publicity in before Christmas. Dry Martini, that is very, very, very kind. And apparently that is your first super chat on a live stream. I've got the notification there. That's really sweet. Thank you very, very much. I really, really appreciate that. Rachel says that bottle is wild. Yes, wild is one way of putting it. It is also extremely annoying when it's completely reflective, and you are very, very aware of the fact that on the other side of the camera is a rather embarrassing mess, and I'm kind of going like this, not letting you look at it for too long, because I take full responsibility for the mess, because I think Madame Persolaise would be mortified if she thought that maybe she was responsible for the mess. The mess is all mine. Why is this meant to be a kind of hourglass, dumbbell, slightly dubious, toy-like implement? I hate that bottle so much, says Gavin. Yes, I'm not sure I'm a fan. It's meant to be an hourglass, okay? Obviously, it's meant to be an hourglass because the scent is called 24/7. The fact that it's reflective, I suppose, maybe is it meant to mean that it's reflective of our times? I have no idea. But what is exciting is that this is a scent by Mr. Frank Volkel, or Frank, I suppose I should call him, whose work, when he's sort of allowed to do what he wants to do, his work tends to be very, very interesting. I've always got a lot of time for anything he's made. So anyway, does it stand up? Bottles that don't stand up are no. It's perfectly happy to stand by itself. You see, it is there unsupported, and I would imagine it would also probably quite happily lie on its side, I think. Anyway, let's have a spray of 24/7. The first new mainstream scent from DK for a very, very, very long time indeed. There we go. He did Santal 33, says Natasha. He absolutely did. You are completely correct. See, I think Frank, or let's just say Frank, I can't say his name any other way. I think he is particularly skilled at working within what I would imagine are tight budgets. Because this could have been some kind of sickly, sweet, fruity, berry, forest fruit, overly patchouli-ized, overly musky concoction. It isn't. It doesn't come across as particular, at least at first sniff, it doesn't come across as particularly complex. It doesn't come across as especially compelling. It's not the kind of thing that is going to make us save up every penny and go scouring the internet for the last bottle because we absolutely must have it in our collection. But for a mainstream scent, it's got a kind of ethereal, almost lily of the valley freesia quality, which comes across as something as a bit of a breath of fresh air when so much of the mainstream continues to pump out things that just insist on being so highly caramelized and sugary. I'm wondering now. I did the pre-spray blotters were done. What time is it now? It's 5 p.m. in the UK, so they were done about 3 hours ago, 3.5 hours ago, and I did my very best to not to kind of not smell them and to sort of spray the blotters and put them away straight away. Rachel says, I met him once, and out of a bunch of fancy perfumers who mostly ignored me, he went out of his way to be kind, helpful, and taught me so much. A wonderful person. I have heard this from other people before. Thanks, Rachel. Gavin says the notes sound very floral, generic. Not sure why it's encased in a robo dog toy. I know the bottle. I suppose the bottle is meant to be eye-catching. Natasha says, I had an interview with him the other day. He said how he likes to work with short, simple lists of ingredients. It comes across as simple without being simplistic, at least at first sniff. But why it has to be 24/7, I don't know. And why it has to be in an hourglass, I don't know. Anyway, let's read a little bit of the press blurb. It's very, very pleasant. DKNY, the iconic New York fashion powerhouse, unveils its latest fragrance creation, DKNY 24/7 Eau de Parfum. This new fragrance captures the energy and vibrancy of the city that never sleeps. I mean, so to me, this is actually quite calming. It isn't vibrant or energetic. It's a nicely done, gentle floral. 24/7 is not just a fragrance. It's a celebration of the relentless optimism, unlimited confidence, and effortless cool that defines a new generation. This scent is a tribute to those who live life with no limits, always ready, always on the move, and always on, just like DKNY and New York itself. Created by DSM Firmenich principal perfumer Frank Volkel, 24/7 is a textural floral woody musk. Textural floral woody musk that captures the essence of the city's heartbeat at every moment. It opens with invigorating top notes, emulating the electric buzz of downtown. They're always selling it. They're overselling it, is what I should say. They could have gone for a different description. It's not particularly buzzing or electric, but it's really pleasant. It's really nicely done. Followed by a blooming floral heart that embodies the blend of cultures and experiences unique to New York City. The bass notes linger with resilience, echoing the city that never sleeps. So what have we got in terms of notes? Pink pepper, rhubarb, and captive quincester. Is that a Firmenich material? We need to find out what quincester is. It's going to be some kind of, or do they mean quince ester? I wonder if that's a funny kind of typo. The rhubarb immediately makes me think of synthetic jungle, synthetic nature from Frederick Mao. And there, the greenness of the rhubarb was really pushed, probably to its very, very limits. But here, it's done much more pleasantly, much more attractively, much more approachably. Pink pepper, okay, maybe to some extent. In the heart, we've got rose, yes, and it definitely comes across as a very, very markedly rosy scent. Tuberose and jasmine sambac, and apparently in the base we have upcycled cedarwood, upcycled sandalwood, upcycled musk, and ambrox super. So we wait with bated breath to find out what the pre-sprayed bottle is going to present to us. The packaging of DK, actually, I'm going to read about the packaging because I'm curious to see what they're going to say. The packaging of 24/7 reflects the city itself. The hourglass-shaped bottle stands as a symbol of the continuous flow of time in the ever-active New York, representing the dynamic transition from day to night and back again. The bottle is finished in a chrome silver coating, a tribute to the iconic architectural elements of the city's skyline. The futuristic silver metallic canister is designed to be a standout piece, embodying the spirit of New York and capturing the attention of those who appreciate the city's unique blend of timelessness and cutting-edge design. Fine. Creative direction by industry legend and longtime collaborator of the brand, Trey Laird. The 24/7 campaign celebrates the perpetual pulse of New York City, etc. So we don't need to worry about the campaign. And I should also mention the price, because 100 mils of this stuff costs £79. And I don't want to keep going on and on about price, but nowadays that counts as something of a bargain. And there are perfumes out there at that price range that smell horrendously cheap, whereas this one doesn't. Let us go to pre-spray 24/7. Please don't let me down. I'm so hoping the dry down for this. I'm not expecting an earth-shattering dry down, but I'm hoping that the dry down is at least going to be pleasant. Okay, clear the nose. Okay. It hasn't become sickly sweet. It hasn't gone overly musky. But what is it? There's something kind of crystalline about it. I mean, they're saying cedarwood, sandalwood, musk. I'm not getting anything particularly cedary, and certainly not sandalwoody. But there's something very, very clean, crystalline, glass-like. You know what it's making me think of? Do you remember the original Miu Miu scent, which I think was done by Daniela Andrea? That was a kind of interesting take on a sort of modern, gentle lily of the valley floral. And it's got shades of that. There's something about the dry down that is kind of confidently synthetic. I think this is okay. I think for what it is, and considering that you can get 30 mils of this for £45, putting aside the bottle, I mean the bottle is going to be Marmite, isn't it? The bottle is going to be love hate, I suppose. It sounds more like Vermont, says Alex. Okay, my knowledge of the kind of socio-politics of New York East Coast geography is very, very, very poor. So, what does that mean if it smells like Vermont? Actually, Vermont's a completely different state, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? It is, isn't it? Yes. Eric says, doesn't an hourglass symbolize a finite amount of time? Not if you keep spinning it, turning it round and round, it doesn't. The dynamism of time, says Righty, a standout piece, a unique blend of timelessness. I know that press release is working overtime, isn't it? Mia says, I really appreciate brands that keep their prices down nowadays. It's rare, as it could be so easy to increase them and blame it on the inflation or whatever else. And Maya and Luna say the or maybe that's one person, says the bottle is NYC, the scent not so much. Okay, well, I would say that, you know, that could have been so much worse than it is, so much worse. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to Edeniste. Now, Edeniste is the brand composed by, what's the lady's name? Audrey Semeraro, I want to say. She very generously gave up some of her time a couple of years ago. That's it, Audrey Semeraro, to come onto this channel to talk about her work and her achievements in the industry overall. Edeniste is a brand. Now, I kind of know that a lot of us here, certainly in the comments in the live chat, are in agreement about this sort of thing. Edeniste is one of these brands that has got mood boosting science behind it. So, and I'm only telling you what the brand itself has said. The scents were composed with neuroscientists in mind. Sorry, not with neuroscientists, with consultations with neuroscientists. And the idea is that each scent is meant to evoke a particular mood. And so you reach for a particular scent when you want to boost or augment a particular mood. And then they also had these kind of companion scents that went with the main scents. And I think they were called life boost scents. And that kind of thing, I have, speaking of time, I have a very, very, very limited amount of time for, because it's not what I am interested in when I'm thinking about what perfume to wear. There are more of those sorts of brands around. I mean, it's interesting that I've got Vyrao in this setup as well, because they do a similar kind of thing. And in fact, they have crystals or a crystal in each of their bottles. And that sort of thing, I basically just push to one side. And I think, okay, I'm coming at this as a perfume geek, as somebody who's interested in scents, and I'm just going to smell the perfumes and see what I think of them. But it does grate a little bit after a while when the marketing shtick is so heavily based on all of this, you know, wear this and spray this and it'll make you feel this, that, and the other. I mean, the most extreme example of that we had recently was the Charlotte Tilbury scents, wasn't it? You know, one of them was spray this and you will have more sex. You know, things start getting, shall we say, a bit laughable. Anyway, this is new from Edeniste. It's their second overt oud. This is called Oud Ghazal. And I'm not sure who the perfumer is, but I did make a note of it. Who was it credited to? 1 second. Let me see if I can find out again. This one is credited, that's it, a perfumer from Takasago, apparently, whose work I'm not familiar with, called Claire Liégeon. What are folks saying about this? Oh, Lord, not another wellness-oriented fragrance brand, says Righty. Even Le Jardin Retrouvé pivoted towards that aesthetic too. Gavin says, come on, we know you're a Charlotte Tilbury fan, as we all are. Oriana says, I would get more on board with the neuroscience than the pheromones. Yes, actually, no, I'm with you on that. I mean, the pheromones I just have zero time for. I thought the idea was a bit meh, says Mitrakai, but I really liked her as a person. Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, and she's got a business idea, and she's going to push it as much as she can, I suppose. Rachel says that PR bleep is based on very thin neuroscience, so it's lazy in my opinion. Okay. Anyway, Let's smell Oud Ghazal. Okay, well, this is the kind of oud that we've had lots and lots of times before. And I think I kind of felt that with their first oud as well that came out, was it a year ago, 2 years ago? Rachel says it's very overtly PR for Gen Z. I know what you mean, and I don't disagree. So this is very, very obviously and overtly woody. The oud note is that kind of synthetic, slightly camphoraceous, slightly medicinal is the word I'm looking for. Oud that we've smelled lots and lots of times before. It's not doing anything particularly different, but okay, so it scores low marks for originality, but in terms of execution of what it is doing, it's certainly no worse than other perfumes in this genre. It's, convincingly dark and nocturnal and Middle Eastern, I suppose, but it's a bit of a shoulder shrug, I suppose. What does the brand say? New Oud Ghazal fragrance, the world's first oud with emotion. I see that kind of thing. I just think, no. I mean, I know what they mean because they're pushing their whole thing of this is going to kind of boost a certain mood, but it's not the world's first oud with emotion. This modern gourmet oud perfume features the olfactive texture of deliciously decadent black cherry notes drizzled over smouldering, smoky wood chips. Oud Ghazal is a scented tribute to unlimited love, featuring our patented de-stress accord at the heart of its formulation. I'm only reading the material here. It is blended with luxury artisanal craftsmanship and designed with modern sustainability methods. My vision has always been to enhance emotional well-being, not only making people smell good, but also feel good. This led me to create the first generation of active well-being fine fragrances based on neuroscience, and I'm thrilled to have you with us on this transformative journey. Edeniste is more than just a perfume brand. Okay, fine. We'll let them say what they want to say. Oriana says there are many studies these days on using scents and aromas to help with and cope with issues like PTSD. So maybe there is something to be said. Yes, perhaps if this is handled with the same seriousness, whether this is handled with the same seriousness is debatable. Let's get the pre-sprayed one. Where's our pre-sprayed? Oud. There you go. I struggle to read my own handwriting sometimes with this. It's fairly linear, and it's just not in a particularly detailed, nuanced way. Woody, dark, woody, musky. I certainly would not go for this if I was after an oud hit. And the cherry note, I mean, yes, I suppose there is a kind of suggestion of something slightly kind of oozing stickiness at the top. It's fine. It's very, very, very forgettable. I wonder, de-stress, would that really de-stress you? I just don't know. Gavin says the de-stress accord is allegedly scientifically proven to lower cortisol levels, according to the website. Well, maybe it does. But why this? I mean, why this one in particular? Does that mean that all oud perfumes, or I don't know. I mean, this can't be exclusive, can it? Or have they got some kind of particular non-perfumed accord that they put into the perfumes as well? Well, the bottle looks lovely, says Christian. There's that. Leah says, I believe aromatherapy is real, but doubtful the brand would use any real amount of naturals. I completely believe that aromatherapy is real as well. So what is it that I have an issue with? I suppose what I have an issue with is mixing perfumery with aromatherapy in this sort of way. I'm not sure that I don't know. Are there going to be people out there who are going to go into a shop and say, "Oh yes, I'm going to buy this because it's going to de-stress me, and I'm going to spend all of this amount." How much is it? Because these aren't cheap, right? So 100 mils of this stuff, 100 mils is £240. So yes, it is not in the same sort of price league as the Frederick Mal ouds, but it's still a lot of money. Or maybe I'm just allowing myself to be a little bit too cynical and just be too swayed by what I see as slightly cringy marketing. I don't know, but as a scent, it's as I say, a bit of a shoulder shrug. Mia says everything feels like fireworks with no sound nowadays. It's all about the marketing. I would read a well-done study on this, says Moritz. Yes, well, so would I. So would I. Oh, and Gavin says it is a particular accord, like a happy Galenard. Or a happier, maybe, because the Galenard's always been a little bit happy. Okay, let's now turn to All Saints, a trio of scents from All Saints. All Saints, I can't say is a clothing brand from which I've ever bought anything, actually. I don't think I've ever owned anything from All Saints. In fact, I think I've hardly ever been into an All Saints store. Not for any particular reason, but I suppose maybe there was something about the look, the aesthetic that never really appealed to me. Or maybe I thought that the things that they had there were a bit too expensive for what they were. I don't know. Not looking forward to the All Saints trio, says Righty. Well, let us reserve judgment. But all of them have been created by a perfumer called Gabriella Celariu. I hadn't heard of her, but apparently she is a Firmenish perfumer, I think. I need to check this out in case I've got it wrong. So just bear with me, because if she isn't Firmenish, that would be really, really bad. Yeah, apparently she is with Firmenish. And these scents have been released to mark the 35th anniversary, I think. Sorry, 30th anniversary of the founding of the All Saints brand. And they are a trio. There is one called Shoreditch Leather, one called Ravaged Rose, and one called Sunset Riot Intense. So let's just go through them fairly quickly then. So let's start with the rose. Most of my wardrobe is All Saints, says Johnny Toblerone. Not sure about their scents. Let's see. Interesting. So what is it? How would you describe, Johnny Toblerone, how would you describe the All Saints aesthetic to us? 69 quid for 100 mils, says Gavin. Well, yes, there is that as well. You know, these are at the cheaper end now. Their jeans are great, says Runny Egg Yolk. Okay, good to know. So this is Ravaged Rose, new from All Saints. All Saints is a cool clothing brand, in my opinion, says Rachel. Dave NYC says, I love All Saints, own way too much. Interesting. Lots of fans here. Okay, maybe I need to actually go into one of their shops now. Gavin says, I feel All Saints were for the generation after mine. Anyway, this is Ravaged Rose. Okay, my first thought is this is a rose that has never been ravaged. But okay. Not a million miles away from the 24/7, from the DKNY. A pleasant, pretty, dewy, green, but not overly peppery, not overly honeyed, not overly sort of sticky, certainly not overly sensual rose. But you kind of get the feeling that this is going to go south very, very, very quickly and become rather dull. So we await the revelation or the pre-sprayed blotter. Let's read a little bit about this though. This September, so yes, they came out a couple of months ago, All Saints is thrilled to announce the launch of its new luxury collection of eau de parfum fragrances in partnership with leading fragrance innovator Scent Beauty and renowned perfumer Gabriella Celariu. The trio of luxury unisex scents capture the essence of All Saints' rebellious spirit and individuality as a showcase to its evolution today. The fragrances are a true reflection of the brand, centered around attitude and feelings, with collections designed to make people look and feel good and recognizably All Saints. Okay. Oh, Johnny Toblerone says, understated, muted, and very, very cool. And Gavin says, I'm mainly asking what notes would make a standard rose a ravaged one. Now. The elevated bottle design for the collection features a hexagonal bolt-shaped cap that is inspired by the All Saints industrial fixtures and fittings used in our stores, adorned with its own leather jacket. The bottle has an iconic leather sleeve that captures the heritage of the brand. The bottles are made of recyclable glass. Anyway, what do they say about Ravaged Rose, a vibrant, provocative, and floral fruity scent. It's not provocative. Anyway, the rose is considered the most noble and iconic flower in the world of perfumery. With its various colors, facets, and moods, Gabriele Chilario aimed to create a rich and full-bodied version of the rose by adding brush strokes of spice, citrus, amber, and woods. The result is a scent that is both feminine and masculine, with a hint of sexiness and edginess that is truly unforgettable. Okay. Where's pre-sprayed rose? Pre-sprayed rose. What's it doing? This is kind of starting to go synthetic in a not particularly praiseworthy way. Let's just go back to the pre-sprayed DKNY. See, that's actually more interesting. The DK has remained intact, whereas this is just rather dull. Let's do what's next? Sunset Riot Intense. Interesting name. So Riot. They are really trying hard with this shtick here, aren't they? Christian says, I intensely dislike corporations that play up a rebellious anti-establishment credo. I know what you mean. Rachel says, Bloomingdale's carries All Saints in the US. I'm Gen X and find their clothes fun to wear. That's fine. That's some very low effort and cringe marketing in how transparently bad it is, says Beauty. Right, so this is their Sunset Riot Intense. I guess I missed the original Sunset Riot, or maybe an intense riot. Why would you do that? Okay. Quite likely to cause a riot of some sort. What's going on here? This is a sort of bit of a dreary. This is a dreary commute. This is a dreary commute through the land of dreary chemicals, going past the dreariest wallpaper you can imagine. Your nose looks like it wants to run from the smelling strip, says Gavin. And Alex says forehead. Yeah, we haven't had forehead for a while, have we? What's this meant to be, though? It's like dry. It's like really dry paper that like that just like damp, bad, wet dog smell covered in damp, bad paper smell. And that's my stomach growling, I think, protesting. It's just the wrong sort of damp and dreary. Lovely, a scent for the new depression. I know, sounds like LA traffic, says Nee. I must find out what they say about this. So, Sunset Riot Intense, an addictive, explosive, and amber floral scent. This intense elixir is a new version. Oh, so there was an original. Okay, a new version of the well-loved Sunset Riot. I had no idea. Thank you. It takes all the addictive and qualitative elements from the original. Oh, we've had this qualitative thing before, haven't we? Mistranslating from the original and amplifies them even more. Explosive pink pepper creates a tingling sensation, followed by sensual orange flower. Right, yes, that's it. This is what we're meant to, this is what passes for orange flower in perfumes that actually contain next to no orange flower. It's that weird, off-putting, stomach churning, stomach growling fuzziness that some perfumes put in, some perfumes possess, and then we're meant to believe that it's orange blossom and night blooming jasmine. The blend is grounded with cedarwood, seductive amber, and textured musks to create an utterly intoxicating fragrance. It's utterly something. It's not utterly intoxicating. So what are the notes? Mandarin leaves, pink pepper, wild freesia, orange flower, night blooming jasmine, woodland moss, cedarwood, setalox amber, and sueded musks. No. And what's the pre-sprayed one doing? Gosh, talk about it's a Baccarat Rouge 40 dupe, totally huge, says Tracy. Okay, I can cut. Yeah, I can sort of see that actually. But really, this is I think even more unpleasant than Baccarat Rouge. Just that incredibly fake orange blossomy, maltolly, ambery. No, this is a no. This is a very, very definite no. The rose, by comparison, is a million times better. Let's just re-smell the rose. Yeah, the rose is much better. Okay, and then what do we have last? Shoreditch leather. Okay. Are we going to get a proper London leather? Hope so. Can something be more unpleasant than BR40? Oh gosh, yeah. Yes, lots and lots of things. I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but lots of things can be more unpleasant. Okay, Shoreditch leather, the last one from the All Saints trio. Right, what have we got? What have we got here? That's surprisingly tame. I mean, I was expecting to be spanked. Somebody mentioned isobutyl quinoline. The only okay name of the trio, says Atalay. Isn't the Sunset Riot a dupe of BR? Well, yes, I think it is Mitriga. Yeah, we've just been discussing that. I think it is. But I'm just waiting for somebody to come along and whip me, and I think I'm going to end up being rather disappointed. Alex says, yes, Aventus or Viking are the peak of horror for me, and Halfeti, of course. There you go. See, that's the three perfumes that are more unpleasant. This is just, again, very tame, pretty dull, quite bright sort of leather. No, not much else to say. The bottles look repulsive too, says Righty. I don't mind the bottles so much. They're okay. I think Will Germain did the kind of cog thing better, though. Gavin says, can anyone create memes of... No, don't you dare. Right, what have we got? Shoreditch leather. Look, they're trying so hard with this. A primal, sensual leather and woody scent. Primal and sensual. I mean, I'm trying to think of, I'm trying to think of some sort of a quip or a joke that isn't going to be offensive in, like, to some sector of society somewhere, and I'm struggling because I'm just trying to picture the most chaste image I can think of. I don't know, maybe no, see, anything I say would just be too wrong. I mustn't go there. But okay, let's just say that it doesn't come across as primal or sensual. If this is about as primal and sensual as a kind of church charity fundraising thing at a town hall in England, where people are sort of selling mugs of really, really bad tea and coffee and really dodgy fairy cakes, but it's all kind of okay, and we go along with it because we're raising money for charity. It's about as primal and sensual as that. It's about as primal and sensual as a lady called Vera saying, do you take sugar in your tea or something? Leather chastity belt, no. What do they say about it? Inspired by the beauty of an All Saints leather jacket, this fragrance has a leather accord with a gradient effect, moving from light to dark tones. The scent starts with the fresh and spicy scent of elemi, which has a lemon pepper aroma. When combined with saffron, it creates a suede-like texture. The leather accord is then blended with a veil of jasmine, and as the fragrance dries, a variety of luxurious woods, come together to create a perfect balance of effortless chic and rebellious energy. Except they don't. So apparently it contains elemi, fresh rosewater, saffron, a leather accord, shea jasmine, sandalwood, vetiver, patchouli, and warm amber. Okay, but putting aside that it's not that, it's... Oh, that's a good one, right? He says, is it Shoreditch leather or perhaps Shoreham? That's good. That's good. We like that one. We'll go with that one. Oh, and Antilai says Shoreditch leather, more like leather shortage. See, this is why we do this live, because you're all much, much cleverer than I am. So it's not all of those things, but if you're after a super approachable, fairly tame leather with a floral inflection, this is okay. But it's not those things. But we need to check out the pre-sprayed one. So pre-sprayed Shoreditch leather. The dunking booth at a church fair, says Power Connection. Yes, that's a good one as well. Does it smell of laundry that was left in the washer for a few days, says Mitra Kai. The previous one might. I don't know about this one. Anyway, see, it just becomes a nothing. They don't have a dry down. They don't. I mean, and that's really, really disappointing. Yeah, it is essentially a nothing. It seems like they're just trying to advertise their leather jackets. So yes, okay. Well, we have dispatched with those fairly quickly. So we've got 2 to go. Let's save the Puente for last, but let's do the Vyrao. It's a brand. It's again another one of these kind of well-being-ish type of brands. One of their perfumes is called Witchy Woo, and I reviewed it a little while ago, but I quite like their Sunray, I think, as a sort of citrusy scent. Now this one, are you ready for this? This one is called Mamajuju, and you might not be able to see it there, but apparently it contains a crystal type thing. So let's put those things aside. Let's put all of those things aside, and let's just smell it. Those juices must be coloured, says Gavin. Well, these ones, I expect they are. I expect they are. So this is Mamajuju from Vyrao. Do I know who has made it? Because it would be nice to know. Because I think, wasn't the last one from them made by Maeve McCurtain? Is it going to come up? There we are. Mamajuju. Also, yes, by Maeve McCurtain. Okay, so, and she's an interesting perfumer. This one is for grounding and awareness, says Gavin. Okay, let us see whether we feel. Eric says Lynn Harris did a few, I think. Yes, I think she did a few of the initial ones, but I don't think she's doing these ones now. Okay. Ooh, now this is okay, well, at least this is properly different now, or different from anything we've had so far this evening. Oh, this is like, you know what it's making me think of? Do you remember when I was sort of vaguely traumatized by and also intrigued by the original Bat from Zoologist, with its really, really strange, damp, dank cellar notes? This has got a touch of that, but it's not as loud and garish and scary and in your face. And over the top of it, it seems to have a very, very attractive, interesting sort of incensey note. So it's got kind of like Dracula and the Angels. Okay, very, very promising start. Very promising start. Christian says, this is Maeve McCurtain, who did some lovely work for Bastille. And Gavin is very helpfully. Gavin, I think we need to officially hire you as my kind of, research assistant when we're doing these lives. I do appreciate the fact that you look these things up. So presumably this is from the Vyrao website. Our formulas harness the principles of neuroscience and energy amplification and the art of perfumery to spark high vibrations and positivity. I'm feeling those high vibrations. Put that aside, because this is an interesting scent. Yeah, it's strange and witchy and crafty and kind of dark and supernatural and slightly forbidding. Definitely want to wear this. Now, I don't really, I've got the briefest blurb here. Smooth, balancing Australian sandalwood is layered with energetic notes of saffron, cumin, nutmeg, cardamom, and pink pepper. Yes, and actually, those spices also, they are in here, and they make me think of Marrakesh Intense from Aesop. So it's kind of like the Marrakesh Intense and original zoologist Bat with an extra dose of incense. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. Pink pepper for heightened focus and self-esteem. I feel so much better about myself already. Warming rum absolute, wet red clay. Maybe that's that kind of damp cellar note then that I was that I was evoked in my mind. And calming olibanum. Seal this elixir for deep rootedness and emotional equilibrium. Smell the earth. Soaked by rain, feel grounded, connected, and awakened. You definitely smell the earth soaked by rain in here. How refreshing to actually get a scent that reflects the press blurb. Is it Coveny, says Christian. So this is a reference to the Andrea Mack scent. Coven, from memory, was a lot greener and a lot swampier. But yes, I suppose they're not a million miles away from each other. Ooh, I'm intrigued by this. This one definitely needs a proper test run. Let's now. This was I suppose about 4 hours ago now. Let's see what the pre-sprayed blotter is doing. Please be good. Okay, so it's calmed down, but it's less damp cellar and more incense and maybe kind of rough woody, slightly sandalwoody feel, but still very, very, very interesting. And nice shades of sort of contrasts between dark and light. I was not expecting that. It's nice to be pleasantly surprised. Although actually, having said that, maybe some of that dampness is still there. I shall wear this tomorrow. I will wear this tomorrow and I will enjoy exploring it. Okay. Gavin then says, buy our Energist Louise meter to magnify the product's particular intention. No, hang on. Sorry. I should have read the bit before. Gavin says each bottle, no, Gavin doesn't say this. Gavin quotes from the Vyrao website. Each bottle of fragrance contains a tiny Herkimer diamond. Yes, I know. While hidden on the base of every candle vessel, you'll find a steel V talisman. These quantum elements have been supercharged in Hawaii. I know. I mean, the scent is interesting. Let's just ignore the rest of it. And right, he says, Gavin, that is genuinely the stupidest thing I've heard. Johnny says, damp cellar sounds nice. There's a lovely damp and slightly musty feeling to Psychedelique by Javoy. Good patchouli scent. Yeah. Is dampness cashmeran, says Rich. Is it cashmeran? It could be, but I didn't immediately think cashmeran myself. Anyway, before we run out of time, let us go to the latest from Puente, the brand founded by Elian Puente, who also very generously gave up his time a little while ago to talk about his brand. And check this out. These are his new bottles. He very kindly sent me one of these. What do we think? I think they are exceedingly attractive. There is a P there at the front. I guess that's because his brand is called Puente. And this is new from him. It's called Galavant. Now, this one I couldn't help but smell when I sprayed it on the blotter. And also, I had a kind of sneakish, preview-ish type thing of this a little while ago. So I kind of knew what to expect. Now, what do we expect? What should you expect if you smell this? And this one sent me on a little bit of a sort of olfactory intellectual journey in my mind. Because, okay, what this is, in keeping with many of Eliam's perfumes for his brand, it is gloriously, gorgeously retro. It is a really, really beautifully done aldehydic floral in the style of Chanel No. 5, in the style of other aldehydic, sort of classic aldehydic florals you may care to mention, maybe shades of white linen in there. And it's really, really beautiful, and it's gorgeous to smell, and it's gorgeous to wear. And then I thought to myself, but do I like it? And I like it very, very much. Do I like it purely because it has this kind of retro feel? And I remember something that Francis Kurkjian said to me years ago in an interview. And he said that he gets a little bit fed up by critics and perfume fans out there. Galavant reminded me of Samsara, says David. Yes, now that's a very, very astute comparison to make. Yes, because it's got that kind of jasmine-y sandalwood thing in it as well. You're absolutely right. In a very beautiful way. But anyway, Francis Kurkjian said that he gets a little bit annoyed by the fact that seemingly anything that is retro, anything that has a kind of old-fashioned vibe to it, anything that kind of nods to the past, seems to be praised to the hilt by people such as myself, whereas anything that tries to be a bit more modern, a bit more cutting edge, doesn't get the appreciation that it deserves. And that comment really stayed with me, because I thought, does that apply to me as well? And am I instantly bowled over by something that smells of, I don't know, L'Heure Bleue or Vol de Nuit or Naema or Samsara or Chanel No. 5, because they remind me of those greats, and so that they're bound to make me like them more. And if something has aligned itself with the greats, then I suppose critically you feel on safer ground praising them, because you can sort of say, oh yes, it must be wonderful because it reminds me of L'Heure Bleue, blah 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 blah. Gavin says, isn't this your latest article on DS and Durga? Kind of, but thank you very much for mentioning that. Yes, some DS and Durga reviews on the Substack over today, where I sort of talk a little bit about things. Well, there I was specifically trying to talk about French styles. But anyway, we don't always also manage to predict the scents that are going to be big hits. Like I, for instance, didn't see the success of Amouage Opus 5 coming. But there are some that I think we have been able to predict in the critical fraternity and the critical sorority, the critical community. But the same goes for any sort of a work of art. You don't always know which films are going to be successful and stick around, and sometimes the ones that are slated when they're first released end up having a huge life of their own further down the line. So all of this sort of stuff was going through my head. And then I thought to myself, but no, I don't think I like scents like Galavant purely because they remind me of the past. I think they remind me of the past because they are layered and textured and detailed and nuanced, and they keep presenting new facets, and they keep making me think of different things, and they keep revealing different aspects of themselves. And that is what I like about them. That is what I appreciate about them. And the fact that those things make me think of scents from the past is in a way incidental. It just happens to be that nowadays the prevailing style is for scents that tend to be linear, maybe more undemanding. Scents like okay, like the DKNY. I think the DKNY is extremely well done for what it is, but I would be very, very surprised if it's still around in another 10 years. Mind you, I suppose people said that as well about Be Delicious, and as the last time I checked, Be Delicious is still doing pretty well. But I guess you get the point. You get what I mean. This is it's just such a gorgeously done aldehydic floral, and it isn't. And I think I used the word old-fashioned a few minutes ago, and I kind of take that back, because it's retro, but it also has that kind of modern luminosity. You don't feel like you're smelling the past here. A few weeks ago, a friend very kindly gave Madame Persolaise a small bottle of Paco Rabanne's La Nuit, and I'm going to steal it from her just so that I can smell a couple of drops here with you, maybe in the weeks to come, when we do like a vintage scents video. You smell that, and it's beautiful, but it does smell of the past. You know that it's the kind of thing that if you wear it, will sort of date you in some way, probably in a good way, but it does smell of the past. This, not to the past, but it doesn't smell of the past. It does smell of this decade in the 21st century. And I think that is because of a certain luminosity, a certain lightness, a certain translucency, maybe a kind of lightness of touch. It would be interesting. Perhaps I should ask Eliam himself how it is that he makes this smell modern rather than old-fashioned. The brand itself, this is just from their website, they say the secrecy of an elusive spell passed only through whispers, that's Galavant. This creamy, boozy, woodsy cauldron speaks of centuries-old forest rituals, crumbling ruins, and pencil scrawlings to paper. That's fine. Eliam can have that image if he likes. I just see immaculately turned out, beautifully dressed people on the Champs-Elysees, going out shopping and enjoying, cappuccinos in a really, really smart cafe. An elixir of sandalwood melds into creamy vanilla and ylang ylang, while oakwood hearkens to rituals of the past. Galavant is the ethereal essence of nature and time, traipsing off the beaten path, casting love spells that bind, and the power of the celestials above. The celestial thing, I guess, kind of ties in with the aldehydes, because you can create quite heavenly imagery with those. But I see lots of people here rather than the outdoors. And the notes are ylang ylang and coriander, cedarwood, oakwood, spices, sandalwood, vanilla, tonka bean, and musk. Let us do the pre-sprayed blotter, and then we will finish on this one. That sandalwood, David, well done for mentioning Samsara, because I think it's a kind of combination of number 5 and Samsara. And that sandalwood is so smooth and creamy, and that ylang, jasmine, white floral it's not as strident as, a lot of people can't take Samsara because they say it's a bit headache inducing, but this is nothing like that at all. This is gentler. And maybe that's another thing that makes it come across as modern. It doesn't shout, it doesn't scream. Again, a triumph for Mr. Puente. He is doing really, really wonderful things for his brand, and long may he continue to create these gems for us. Okay, we have reached the end of this episode. Thank you very much for the chats. Thank you very much for the Shoreditch puns. Is it as large and beige yellow as Samsara, says Ataline? No, it's not as large, and it's whiter. I would say it's creamier and whiter. I think Rodrigo Flores Rue is a master at modernizing classic profiles, says Rachel. I would agree. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned to social media for info about new videos coming your way. But until the next time we meet, be good, and I will see you soon. Bye now.